Hey chuds, Setalem here. I want you guys to look at this gentleman. Look at him deeply, connect with him, and tell me, what is wrong with his face? If you ask this to a normie, they'll tell you, oh, he looks like a nice guy, he just needs a haircut. Now, if you ask this to someone that's deeply tapped in with the Truecel know-how, they would, by only looking at this image, be able to tell you that this guy is a no-cell, year-cell, white-cell, bald-cell, fat-cell with a negative candle tilt. And because of all these things, he is surely a contender for Truecel status. And that's only with one image, imagine what more they could label him as. With that in mind, if you're wondering what category you fit into or what any of these words mean, worry not, for I will clarify everything. I use mostly the Incel wiki, but I'm not going to mention every type that's listed there because some of them are just fake and mental illnesses and not real incel traits. So let's start with the most infamous and sought after, the Truecel trait. A Truecel embodies every other negative cell trait that I'll mention in this video. He will most probably be neurodivergent, introverted, autistic, will lack social skills, probably really ugly and disgusting due to some problems during pregnancy, you name it. The average Truecel is so touch-starved that even a brief interaction with a female would send them into a state of shock or pure incel rage. They normally never approach women that they find attractive, rather they try to juggernaut their way into a relationship, which never works. And if you thought they could lose their virginity by simply hiring a hooker, you would be wrong, since a real Truecel would also get rejected by them.
Here. Take it. Go ahead. Just take it.
Most Truecels will eventually become volcels, giving up on love entirely. It's like that one saying, a rectangle can't be a cube, but a cube can be a rectangle. The same thing applies to Truecels and volcels. A Truecel can become a volcel, but a volcel can never be a Truecel. Another famous term for Truecels can be KHHV, kissless, hugless, handholdless, virgin, or the truest form, KHHHVHHJSHDGSGHDHVV, which not even I know what it means. Notable Truecels are Brian Peppers, the Elephant Man, the Eggman, and Hamoudi. Truecels would obviously be on the top of the hierarchy, so naturally, S tier. Next we have volcels, meaning voluntarily celibate. These being for mostly either religious reasons, like monks, or men that gave up entirely on finding love. It is mostly used as an insult against incels that don't put enough effort into escaping their inceldom. Volcels also have a weird superiority complex most of the time, so with all this in mind, volcels go into C tier, just because of their importance. Fakecel. A perfect analogy to a fakecel would be the famous art piece made by conservative painter Charlie Kirk of The Last Supper. All incel types arrange around the one and only Truecel, the cute cell on the left, the autist cell on the right, and the fakecel being a certain group of people. We all know who I'm talking about. A fakecel is just someone that claims to be an incel to gain attention and sympathy. It is arguably the worst thing you can do in the incel sphere and will grant you torture for all eternity in Chud hell. They're normally really young and think it's aesthetic, #incelcore, #older brother core, xitter and TikTok immigrants. Obviously an F tier. Mental cell. Not to be confused with a fake cell, a mental cell is someone that can get into a relationship, but due to self-sabotage and a cluster of natural disorders, he is incapable of having anything long-term, or that it would result in the loss of his virginity. Someone that can fit in this category would be Little Elliot, or as I like to call him, Labubu. Other types of mental cells are also known as M-cells, which are just people with an avoidant personality that aren't able to have a deep connection with someone. The line between a mental cell and a Medcel is really blurry, so it's up to interpretation most of the time. C tier. Speaking of Medcel. A Medcel is someone whose inceldom can be attributed to medical reasons. This can range from the psychological to the physical. For example, autist cell if you have autism, Aspi cell for Asperger's, disabled cell for the disabled, you get the point. Down cell, and all other malfunctions you can think of are considered subcategories of a Medcel. Shout out to all my disabled freaks out there. I trans hard y'all, B tier. Next up, normies.
Normies are nothing. They really are.
They're average looking guys that can ascend easily if they work a little bit on themselves. They mostly come in 3 categories.
Denial, oblivious, and larper.
What a joke. I worked my ass off to get what I am, and they take these shortcuts and they think they're suddenly my peers? You do what I do because you're boring and you want to be quirky. I committed my life to this. You will never be a real incel. F tier or algo. Denial cell. As mentioned previously, denial cells are a subgenre of normies. They're a slave to their own self-delusions, and while having all the characteristics of an incel, they can never see themselves on a similar level, due to their incapability of taking accountability and accepting that they do, in fact, get no game. A famous one would be the Chica guy, or as we call him in the sphere, Saint Chica Dance Cell. We all pray for his poor soul, and drink in his honor, the whole thing. All in hopes he'll finally find his better half and ascend to Hyperborea. A tier. Now we have femcel light, femcel, and true femcel. None of these are real. If a woman proclaims herself as being a femcel or never having sex, then they're lying to you. God, I hate this bitch. Everything I see about her is against my will. It's like that femcel subreddit that got shut down because the members kept getting harassed in DMs. A good example of a true femcel god is Christine Shudbug, who committed game ending, unaliving, returning to the lobby, pressing Alt F4 live on television, after getting rejected by her male colleague. Naturally, all of them go to brimstone hell. I should start by saying that I'm not racist. We celebrate all our differences here. Personally, I'm an Israeli Indian, so all the money from this video will be donated to the IDF. Incels are the most ethnically diverse group out there. We have
The black cell, just date a fat woman. The bean cell, just date your wife. The Arab cell, just marry a 9-year-old. The red cell, ayoa, 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 ayoa. The white cell, go to the Philippines. The Rappa cell, I don't know man, yacht I guess. The curry cell, just marry a 9-year-old.
all of these go into C tier, kitchen cell. We are getting into ways incels use to cope with their circumstances, and kitchen cells is one of them. I don't think I need to explain much what a kitchen cell is, since it has become really popular lately due to the creation of the subreddit with the same name. But look, I gotta be honest, for Reddit standards, some of these posts are pretty funny, so they get a solid A tier. Gym cell. Gym cell, also known as gym maxing, is someone that uses the gym and working out as a way to cope with their inceldom, or as a way to attract women, even though it's widely considered to only attract more males than girls. Normally, this only makes them look even more abnormal, but it does make you something to be proud of. Face card is still everything though. A tier. Work cell and poor cell. Work cell, or also known as wage cucks or goy slaves, are incels that need to work to survive instead of leeching off their parents, and stops them from being able to pursue any type of romantic or sexual relationship, because fighting for their multi-billion-dollar company overlords is more important. Poor cells are very much identical to work cells, where they can't simply escape the never-ending cycle of working just to keep living day to day. However, they're too poor to afford a lot of clothes or going out to impress women or something, I don't know. I'm rich. B and A tier, respectively. Medcels. Medcels are higher beings, actual deities roaming the earth, forced to contemplate the folly of chuds and cucks wasting their lives away. Their tears and blood feeding the never-ending ocean of this dying rock we call a planet. They exist beyond the veil of illusion that traps lesser mortals, untouched by the grind of alarm clocks, soul-crushing commutes, or the desperate pursuit of female validation. Like ancient gods lounging on Olympus, observing the ants below scurrying around in pointless circles, Medcels have ascended past the base needs that chain humanity to their core. Chuds seed in rage, cucks grovel in desperation, but the Medcel simply is eternal, unshackled, enlightened. To gaze upon a true Medcel is to witness a living god amongst insects. Really, they're the best ones. S tier. Teencel. Teencel is someone that is young and already embodies most incel characteristics. Nobody just turns 18 and becomes an incel. It's a growing thing, a slow and methodical process. Normally though, teen cells are LARPers from social media trying to get famous, clout, compliments or pity so girls like them more. And for that, they get F tier. Protocell. A protocell is someone who has experienced inceldom prior to the term incel existing. Some prominent protocels are Beethoven, H.P. Lovecraft, Isaac Newton, and Nicholas Tesla. B tier.
Wizcel. Wizard is a title you attain when you pass beyond 30 years of virginity. There's also a lot dedicated to Wizcels and wizard posting, also a whole power scaling system where you're ranked based on your virginity age. Everyone should aspire to be a wizard. I might make a video on them later. S tier.
Xitter. Xitter are people with social anxiety disorder. Shyness is more and more defined as a problem that should be fixed with drug use. You're not normal, you need to take the meds! Take the meds now! Normally shyness is more accepted if you're a female, even sometimes seen as cute and enduring, but if you're a male you're told to grow up, you fucking chud. A tier. Queer cell, or gay cell, or rainbow cells are fake cells because gays have a lot of sex. Even if you're ugly, but that's just how queer culture works. Queer cells normally exist because they try to deny their homosexual thoughts. F tier. Trans cell are transgenders that barely pass as a woman and are still incels even after transitioning. Passoids don't count. Many of them fell into the "just become the girlfriend, bro" propaganda, even though it never works in reality. A good example of a transgender incel would be Chris Chan. F tier, but C because I pity you. Lesbocel. Lesbocels are lesbians that have a hard time finding a partner due to the ratio of women attracted to the same gender. They're actually angrier and more misogynistic than male incels against women due to their frustration in straight men, which is a bit counterintuitive. Lesbocels will most of the time try to groom a straight girl into dating them, and when that eventually ends up in a breakup, they will blame the patriarchy or whatever. F tier. Location cells. Location cells might just be one of the most brutal of cells. They're stuck in their own country, normally C or South America, so they cannot geomax. This can also happen if you're stuck in a small town or the countryside where meeting women is harder, especially dating them. B tier. Weeb cell. A weeb cell is someone who wishes they were Japanese but isn't and will never be one. You will never be a real Japanese. They're obsessed with all things Japan, and their obsession with their lolly waifus often creeps people out. They also believe that 2D women are better than 3D women because they cannot ever hurt you and they will always love you, no matter how much they cry. In general, weebcels are trying to cope with their lives by alienating themselves into a place they see as visually aesthetic and appealing. Or in other words, kawaii sugoi siranke. The looks category is one of the biggest and deepest categories. It ranges from anything in your body you can think of, from your ears to your wrist and forehead. Just like mental cells, I will only mention a small portion of lookcels, those being the ones that I find most important. Just know that if there's any insecurity you have, then there's a cell for it. Hair cell. Hair cell and bald cell are pretty bad at either maintaining their hair or having it at all. It is scientifically proven that hair is a good factor in the attractiveness of someone, so a person with a normal head of hair would be more desirable compared to a bald person. But sometimes, when the Norwood is really bad, it is better just to shave it off. B tier. Fat cell. Fat cells are pretty simple, it's just incels who are fat. However, these people just need to lose some weight to shed some tears. So, for that, it's C tier. Height cell. Height cell is arguably the most important kind of cells. Heightism might be, is worse than racism. It does make sense. If I call you a slur because you're black, you can probably just fight back. Now, if you're short, you're most likely to just be a pushover. That is why I solely believe all fellow short cells like me should bear arms at all times and wage war against the tall fellas. S tier. Frame cell. Surgery is the only way out, twin. C tier. Chin cell. Being always a couple of inches away from being Chad, chins are one of the most important features of the male skull, with surgery being the best and only sane way to a shin. A tier. Cute cell. Cute cell is someone that people call or consider cute but never really beautiful or attractive. So they spare their feelings by only focusing on their cuteness and never on their real general aesthetic. One famous example of a cute cell would be Labubu. B tier.
Voicel. Being a voicel is pretty bad. It makes it even e-dating, not real dating. Difficult, so yeah, it's over, nigga. S tier.
Icel. Having a bad iframe can make you look tired or uninterested, and that gives people the ick, bro. Unknown Slayer wins once again. C tier. Nosecel. Not a real cell. Be proud of your big bad Jewish nose. They hate us because they ain't chosen. C tier.
Foreskins. Whatever, man.
F tier. Nymphocell. Nymphocell is just a guy that has a high libido, which makes any and all interactions with the opposite gender very hard due to it, and any conversation going to weird places. C tier. Acne cell or skin cell. Just scream on your face, bro, it's not that hard. C tier. Year cell. Year cell is someone that has a big outward ears. They normally get bullied a lot for it. You can hide it by using tape mostly. C tier. Wrist cell. The worst one, bro. Pack it up, it's over. You need to go to St. John's Bridge ASAP. S tier. So my little chuds, that was the lesson for today. I hope you all had fun and learned something new. And now, with your new Truecel know-how, you can finally spread your little wings and pollinate the worlds with your seed of black pill knowledge. May God have mercy on our souls.
I want you to comment on what kind of cell you are down below, please.